and here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Roger, roll with Atlantic. Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Gino.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalizer.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my god.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Good early morning from South Texas, where, as you can see on your screen, Booster 19 is on the move, this time from the launch site, heading back towards the production site after a very productive week of testing out at the pad. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. I will be your host for this evening/morning's broadcast. Of course, as always, I am not alone. Joining me on commentary this evening, morning, whatever you want to call it, is EJ. How's it going, EJ?
It's going great. You know, it's not morning, but it's not evening. We'll call it a meevening. Okay? Is that fair?
Sure. Let's go with that.
Meevening.
And it's not just evening that's here. We also have Max on commentary. How's it going, Max?
East? I thought you meant Weast. I know. That was terrible. I'm sorry. But good morning, everybody. Booster 19 heading back to the production site after a very long week. So we will see what the coming weeks hold.
Indeed, we will. And pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, because it's a late night stream, as always, is Carson. And a reminder, if you have questions, you can tag us at NASASpaceflight or at NSF. We'll do our best to answer as many of your questions as we can. And yes, we might all be slightly on the loopier side, given that we've all had early mornings, especially Max out there with Starlink. And it's getting late, but always excited to see things happening down at Starbase. So, Max, it's been a busy week of testing. Do you mind kind of just wrapping up what we've seen from once this booster got out to the pad to now?
Yeah, so Booster 19 has been at the pad for the better part of a week and a half now, and since then it has undergone, I believe, 3 separate days of cryo testing, each of which consisting of a pad deluge test, what we believe was a spin prime, and then on the third one, what we thought was a Raptor igniter test. And we saw some flashes and we heard some very unique noises coming from the engine section of Booster 19, which is not uncommon whenever they are testing the igniters. But they had those 3 tests, and then all of those led up to the big day a couple of days ago when they actually static fired the booster for the first time ever, and also the first ever static fire from Pad 2. As much as we were looking forward to that, it lasted maybe a second long. It was kind of anticlimactic for what it was, if I may say so. But they have since had preparations in place to roll the booster back not long after. We saw some closures pop up as primary closures, like immediately after the test. So we were under the impression that they were going to go for a longer duration fire test the next day, assuming all went well. But of course, that didn't happen. Those have since been revoked, and a transport closure was in place, and we are currently seeing them working within that road closure this morning now to get Booster 19 back over to Mega Bay 1, I guess, to have the rest of its engines installed and inspections following the static fire test a couple of days ago. So, it has been, as you said, Sawyer, it has been an incredibly productive week and a half. It's been a very productive tenure for Booster 19 over at Pad 2, the first ever Super Heavy booster to visit Pad 2 and conduct any testing there. So a big step towards Flight 12, which will hopefully happen in around a month's time, give or take. how long engines take to install on this booster, when it can roll back out for a full static fire test of all the engines, plus also Ship 39, currently still in Mega Bay 2, having its 6 Raptor engines installed before its own fire test campaign over at Massey's. So still lots to come, but they have been storming towards Flight 12 at a rapid pace over the last month and a half or so.
The pace has finally picked up. It's felt like it's been so slow, and then all of a sudden, it's all at once, which is fantastic. Now, of course, a lot of us have been speculating, and a lot of people have been asking, EJ, we saw the test the other day where it looked like they ignited, maybe a second, maybe half a second. We saw some of the deluge. What do you think that test was, and what could it have been?
SpaceX has said that they were doing these tests were there to put the pad through its paces. They did post about that on X a little while back, but I'm just not 100% sure, like, if that's what was supposed to be going on. I mean, Sawyer, I kind of foresee, like, it's okay. So, like, it's one of two scenarios. Either they pulsed the engines for a second, right, to test something on the pad, or they went for a static fire, like what we've seen, and something broke. Now, I'm not sure which one it is. I'll be honest, like, we don't know enough about, like, Block 3 boosters testing regimes. Like, we can theorize here, but, until we kind of see more booster testing, it's kind of hard to say one way or the other. I mean, chat, what do you guys think? Start up aboard? Do you think that they pulse those engines on purpose? It's hard to say. But yeah, either way, they're going for a rollback. Like, maybe they're going to put more engines on, like what Max was saying. Maybe something broke. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Sawyer. It sounds like, dude, the sound that thing made when they did that quote-unquote static fire, we'll say, look at that thing. Man, that's big. The sound that thing made, if it was a Raptor 2 or a Block 2 Starship, I would have said that something broke. But you never know. You never know with Raptor 3. We don't... it could make different sounds. Raptor 2 was notorious for honking, like when it shut down, like making a squawk like a goose, right, Max? Like, we don't know. Hard to say.
But also, if we compare video footage from I guess in-flight or vehicle testing to that of footage that we have seen from the test stands in Central Texas for Raptor 3. The startup sequence is a little bit different for Raptor 3 in that it isn't as quick, whereas Raptor 2 seemed to spool up like literally instantly for first with a puff of gas and then sudden ignition. With Raptor 3, there is a bit of a longer puff of flame coming out of the engine bell before having the actual pumps spool up with full ignition. So it's, again, the engines are way different. Raptor 3 has a drastic reduction of parts on it, so it looks a lot simpler on the outside, although internally we still don't know what it looks like internally. But it is a far departure from where Raptor has been in the last 5 or 6 years of the Starship test campaign so far. It is the first variant of the engine, much like version 3 vehicles, that are going to be used in the longer term and then built on from there, whereas Raptor 1 and Raptor 2 were sort of experimental, I guess. Mostly Raptor 1. Raptor 2 also, I guess, could be classed as that, because Starship has been that up to this point. But version 3 cannot be that. They had that, or we can all think back to how version 2 began life early last year, and SpaceX cannot afford to have that happen again. But I think both engines are different, just obviously in terms of the way they look in their performance, but also just in the way they begin startup. So I don't think we noticed anything too, I guess, quote unquote wrong. I'm not quite sure what other word to use there with on the booster side, but that also brings up the good point of maybe it was something on the pad side. Maybe the deluge didn't reach its full pressure, or couldn't maintain full flow pressure under the thrust of the engines, or something of the sorts. There are so many things that could have happened that we just do not, we quite frankly do not know until SpaceX actually says something official to confirm or just clarify what's happened. But what we can see happening is they have chosen to move this thing off the pad and transport it back to Mega Bay 1 pretty soon after that very abbreviated static fire. So I'm not sure what that bodes for booster health or pad health. But as far as we can tell, when they picked up the booster earlier this afternoon, it looked fine. So, but then again, there are a number of things that we just can't see.
Right, and I mean, it also doesn't help that we don't have much experience yet with this block of booster, as we still need to learn its inner workings. Like you said, the startup procedure, is it normally supposed to be that slow, or is it cautious? You know, of course, we get some indication from McGregor, but what were you going to say, AJ?
The other thing to take into account is that if I'm understanding this correctly, Raptor 3 has a different type of ignition system. It's not using the torch igniters from the previous versions. It's using resonant igniters or acoustic igniters, which, long story short, they superheat gases to get auto combustion, and that's how they started. So the ignition noise, like, I'll be honest with you guys, I have no idea what that sounds like. We could have, maybe that's what we heard the other day. Like, it's hard to say. I do know that at the very least that it is using some type of acoustic igniter or a resonant igniter, which is, I mean, that's kind of wild in itself, but it does make sense for SpaceX, right? A resonant igniter is something that you can passively build into your flow systems on a Raptor engine. I'm theorizing that they're at the preburner, but I'm not 200% sure on that. It's not like I have a schematic of one in front of me, right? Like, but the gist of it is that with a resonant igniter or an acoustic igniter, there's a small chamber where gas is forced through a nozzle at high pressure and it gets superheated, right? And when it shoots into this chamber, it's superheated. It actually bounces back off of like the wall of this chamber, and you get a resonant like wave, and that superheated, you spray some oxidizer into that, you'll get an auto combustion. Auto combustion basically means you have enough energy, you're carrying enough energy in your propellants for them to basically just combust out of the blue. You usually need to heat them to do that. Like a diesel engine on a truck, like that truck that you see on the screen that's flashing all of its lights. That's using auto combustion, but they're using it to start the engines. It's very interesting stuff. That also kind of explains why you see, when the engine turns on in this B-roll footage that we see here, when the engine turns on, you see like an initial flash and then the thing goes.
And that's different to how it was with Raptor 2. With Raptor 2, we just saw a puff of cryo being flowed through and out of the bell, and then ignition. Whereas in this case, we see flame before proper ignition as well. So the engines have been engineered totally differently, and the actual startup sequence is, of course, obviously also much different in that respect as well. So we have to relearn how the Raptor 3s behave in terms of their startup sequence compared to Raptor 2 and what we have become used to there, but also how long it's going to take them to get to full thrust, and also how liftoff is going to look off the pad, just in terms of how long that will take. So, but again, SpaceX is also learning all of this just as much as we are. Because of course version 3 has not flown yet. Like there are so many unknowns to this point, and that's the whole purpose of this test campaign, is to learn as much as possible while they can of the vehicle on the ground before they actually have to fly it.
Very interesting, the difference. And of course, I know that was the big thing was, oh, look how many fewer parts there are. The fact that you don't need to literally plug in the engines basically into the launch mount to get everything started up is nice. And, we saw the nice clean Raptor 3s with very little plumbing, but obviously something still has to ignite it. So it's very interesting. Really quickly, we have some massive amounts of support that I need to hit before we hit this next question here. Shannon Stevens with a $100 super chat saying, good morning, evening, have a coffee, fellas.
Good morning. Good morning, Shannon.
That's a lot of coffee.
That's a lot of coffee. Thank you so much.
I'm already one coffee deep on the day. I'm not going to lie to you.
Just one?
Because hey, it's only 1 a.m. 1:18 a.m. man. Like local time for me.
That's true.
What do you mean, just one?
Yeah.
That's a lot for a first hour, man. Jeez.
You're not counting over the last 24 hours or since you've been awake. You just mean over the last hour and 18 minutes that it's been today.
For us,
Eastern
yeah,
time.
yeah, exactly. I'm already one coffee.
Got it.
Well, that's not all, by the way.
On time being awake, it's more than that. It's more than one. It's nth coffee. You know what I mean?
Well,
How many
that's what
coffees? How many coffees have you had, EJ? Yes.
Well, that's what you get during the evening. Speaking of which, Jerwa with a $100 tip at tips.nasaspaceflight.com. Holy smokes.
Oh my gosh. Jerwa.
Saying, fun fact, at 2 a.m., mevening becomes snorning.
Wow.
Talk about a sentence that has never been said in the history of humanity. There you go.
Evening becomes snorning.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Thank you for the support, everyone. We appreciate it. Again, that's the reason we can have all of these cameras down the road, the people chasing the booster, everything going on is because of that support. So thank you. Jeff Rowe gifting a Red Team membership, Educational becoming a Pad Rat member, and Randwar gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you all for that. So let's see here. This is probably an EJ question. Space Enthusiast is wondering, are Raptor 3s the most powerful engines ever built? I know there's some Saturn V engines that might want to try and compete.
Okay, so Raptor 3 is pushing over 2,400 kilonewtons of thrust. It is not the most powerful liquid fuel rocket engine around. The most powerful liquid. So okay, like we could get into splitting hairs with this very, very quickly. You want the most powerful rocket engine we've ever flown. Okay, that would be the solid rocket boosters that are on SLS. Those make 14,000 kilonewtons of thrust off the pad. But I think it's like 2.5 million pounds of thrust. Now a Raptor's making 2,400 kilonewtons of thrust. It's not nearly as powerful as the SRBs. Now, if we want to talk liquid fuel engines, the most powerful liquid fuel engine is the RD-170 or the RD-171MV, which is it's a Russian motor, oxygen-rich stage combustion cycle with Karolox. That thing makes, I believe it's pushing almost 7 meganewtons of thrust. So it's 6,700 kilonewtons, I think, off the top of my head. And then, but here's the thing. The RD-170 is using 4 chambers for 1 power pack. So you have 1 set of turbo, you have 1 set of pumps, and you have 4 nozzles. Now, if we're going to talk single engines, right? The F1 that was on the Saturn V, which is a little bit below what an RD-170 produces. It's somewhere. It's about. I know how much thrust it makes in Imperial. It's 1.5 million pounds of thrust. That is the most powerful single nozzle rocket engine ever devised, but it's not the most powerful of all in terms of liquid fuel. Now, here's the thing with Raptor. Okay. Raptor isn't the most powerful engine around. The F1 takes the cake there. I mean, the F1 also uses kerosene and liquid oxygen, or used. In my mind, it still flies. I don't know. Maybe I just play too much KSP. I don't know. What Raptor has going for it is, well, you have the full flow stage combustion. So a full flow stage combustion to a rocket engine is like what turbocharging is to a car. All right. You put the turbo on there. You put the noisy boy snail on there. It's going to make all cool noises. It's going to go a lot faster, right? Full flow stage combustion is like that to rocket engines, right? So Raptor, for what it is, it doesn't make the most thrust around, but Raptor has insanely high power to weight ratio. Okay, think about like Raptor. A Formula One car isn't the most powerful engine around, right? They don't have the most powerful engines around, or batteries. Sorry.
Yes.
Or batteries.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was being good.
No, it's good. They don't have the most powerful engines around, but Formula One cars go really fast because of the power to weight. I mean, not right now, but I'm not trying to make it about that. I'm sorry. I just had to get my stick in. So Raptors have really, really good what's called TWR, or thrust to weight ratio. For the amount of thrust that comes out of that thing, it's not very big. A Raptor engine could fit inside of the nozzle of an F1 engine. It's not very large. So what that full flow stage combustion cycle Raptor, has going for it is that it's really, really light, really low mass for what kind of thrust you're making. So also they can be clustered together, as you see from the big, steel tube that's on your screen. They can be clustered together in close proximity. So you have a lot of these things working all together. Not the most powerful engine around, but it's got it where it counts. You know what I mean?
It does, but also I think to put some more comparison there, I think nothing really compares to the F1 in terms of either size or performance, really, except the RD-170 when it comes to liquid-fueled engines. But to put some more context there, the RS-25 that has flown on the Space Shuttle and now SLS produces around 190 tons of thrust, or 418 pounds of thrust. Raptor 3 produces 280 tons, or around 617,000 pounds of thrust. And that is it's like half the size of the RS-25 and a fraction of the cost as well. So, and again, like one of the main advantages of it, with it being so power dense and small compared to the performance that it can deliver, is you can cluster a lot of them together, and that's what we see on board a super heavy booster, with there being currently 33 of them in very close proximity, and hopefully at some point 35. So it's one of the most power dense liquid fueled engines ever flown, or it hasn't flown yet. But I should say developed at this point. But still, it's one of the most spectacular engines ever built so far. And their goal right now is to get it to about 300 tons of thrust. I want to say in the next couple of years. I know Elon has been pushing that pretty hard on the engine teams, but I think it currently operates around 350 bar of chamber pressure, somewhere in there. So yeah, it's no slouch by any means. Raptor 3 is incredible.
And hopefully some of you are still awake after that. If not, hopefully that was a nice, relaxing thing to fall asleep to. Lots of numbers.
Lots of numbers.
But yeah, also, I think the difference is if you were to be able to stick 33 F1 engines together,
Oh, God.
That would beat anything. I guess kind of N1-esque, but still.
They would melt each other, dude.
And that you would like stop the rotation of the Earth at that point as well if you had 33 of those things firing at one time.
I mean, I'm not going to say somebody shouldn't try that, but
But you get what I mean, though, of like, of course Raptor is going to going to launch the most powerful rocket ever built, because you have 33 of these, which, while they may not be the most powerful, combine 33 of them, you get a lot of thrust and a lot of performance.
Sawyer Super Heavy is producing, as long as we're comparing Raptors to F1s, the Super Heavy first stage compared to the Saturn V's S1C, Super Heavy produces double the amount of thrust. The Saturn V produced about 7.5 million pounds, or about 35 meganewtons. Super Heavy is up double that. It's like 15 or 16. Well, with Raptor 3s, it's probably north of 16 million pounds of thrust. We're talking 70, 75, 80 meganewtons of thrust. Yeah. Like double a Saturn V, almost triple. Like it truly is a ridiculous amount of power. But that's what you need from a first stage. First stages need to be energetic. They need to really pack a punch. The faster that first stage can get whatever it's moving on top up and out of the atmosphere, the better.
Yeah, that's kind of the whole point of the first stage, is to do the heavy lifting of it so that the upper stages can do the light work, well, quote-unquote light work, once it's in orbit.
Well, the upper stage, exactly. The upper stage is not designed to go up. I always say the first stage is designed to get you up there. The second stage is designed to go fast.
Yeah. Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
Anyway, let's see here. Questions coming in. You can tag us at NSF. I know it's late, everybody. Appreciate everyone that's here with us. So, feel free to tag us with your questions. Everyone now talking about, would that be Saturn 15?
I'm not going to sit here. I see people talking about it in chat. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't want a 3-core Saturn V. I'm just really, there's nothing out there saying that couldn't work, right? But also at the same time, F1 engines don't like being next to each other. That's another thing that Raptor has going for it. Because it's using that full flow stage combustion and it has extremely high main chamber pressure, right? The engine, I mean, the byproduct is that's a very energetic thing that gets really, really hot. So Raptor has a lot of internal cooling. It has a lot of film cooling all over the engine. And because it has so much cooling on it, right? Your film cooling, I do believe they film cooled the combustion chamber, the throat, and the nozzle. And on top of the film cooling in the internal nozzle, they have milled copper channel liners. So on the inside of the jacket of the engine, which all that means is that the engine could stay really, really cool. But you can also cluster them together. F1 engines, even the 5 on the Saturn V, had trouble. They had trouble because they end up convecting so much heat that they try to melt each other from the outside. Even 5 of them operating and they're spread out on the Saturn V if you've ever seen one. 5 of them together are trying to melt each other. So much so that on the Apollo missions, they kind of looked at it and said, how do we fix that? Well, Bob, wrap it in asbestos. All right, Bob, let's do it. And that's exactly what they did. They put asbestos blankets on the F1 engines, on the S1Cs that flew. And then they wrapped the asbestos blankets with an Inconel sheet metal. Think about that for a second. That's what it took to not get the F1 engines to melt each other. Meanwhile, we have Super Heavy here rolling back. You can just the 33 engines in close proximity. It's no big deal. The core size on a Saturn V is bigger than Starship. It's 10 meter. It's like the transport stand almost. I mean, the transport stand's more like 12, but you get the idea.
Now I just want Saturn Heavy. Just saying.
I mean, like I said, I think that'd be a great idea. You'd probably melt some engines on the way up, though.
Yeah.
Not saying I don't want that,
Oh, I hear you. Let's see. Here's one. Any reason they couldn't have had all of the engines installed and selectively opened inlets this last round of testing? I don't know, Max, what do you think? Do you think they could have just gone out there with all 33 and ignite some of them, or the logic behind the staggered 10 engines that they had out there?
Well, I think the idea that SpaceX had for installing just 10 of them was to test out certain areas of the thrust puck and also the internal plumbing to make sure that all could function properly, while making sure that the risk to all the engines was as minute as possible. And it's when you have a risk that large, I think it's best to have as few engines on the booster as possible in the event something goes wrong, because obviously if you lose a booster at that point, that much you are likely losing all of your engines as well. So I think at that point it'd be best to break the booster in and then christen the pad with a lot less thrust than what the booster could otherwise produce, and have an easier time on both the vehicle and the ground systems supporting it. So SpaceX has their reasons for only installing 10. We have only been able to speculate as to why that is to this point. But again, they are not randomly assigned all over the base of the vehicle. There are 10 across all 3 rings of engines that they will eventually have. So there will be 3 in the direct center, followed by the ring in the middle of 10, and then the outer ring of 20. And only those 2 inner rings have the ability to gimbal the engines or move them for directional control. So having engines on each of the area on each ring allows them to test each area of the booster in terms of its performance and structural integrity, while making sure that the risk to all the engines is as little as possible in the event that something does go wrong in the most catastrophic way. But again, to this point, we've only been able to just speculate on why they have so few engines on the booster. And as ugly as it kind of is, it is also pretty cool, because we don't get to see a booster rolling out to the pad with very few engines installed very often. I think the last time we had that was Booster 7, like way back when, like 3.5 years ago or something. So yeah, certainly a sight to see, kind of like a buck tooth, or missing tooth look. But yeah, it's they have their own reasons.
Okay, the The transporter is coming by here, the SPMTs, and I did see someone yell at us for talking over the transporter ASMR. So once it gets a little closer, what do you say we listen to the SPMT's whir for a little bit? Sound like a plan?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine.
Cool. Let it get a little bit closer, and then we'll crank it up.
So are you just telling me when to be quiet? If you're wondering what that whirring noise is, the self-propelled modular transporters that they use to move the stand around use hydraulic motors. It's a fluid impeller on a drive shaft, and they're pumping around hydraulic fluid, and the hydraulic fluid is what drives the wheels.
And let's
that's
listen
also
in, and
okay,
then we'll
cool.
do it right after, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I said, tell me when to be quiet.
I may have been fooled by the zoom. I thought it was a little bit closer. Here we go.
All right, I'll be quiet.
as it rolls away, the ASMR there. EJ, you want to go back to your explanation of why we're hearing that?
Man, I don't know, man. That noise is putting me to sleep.
The person who wanted SPMT ASMR, they had the right idea.
Yeah, no, good call. I see why you guys wanted that. So, the SPMTs, if you notice on the very back, so that'd be the bottom center screen for you guys, like kind of on the back of this whole rolling, amalgam of transporter. There are diesel generators, and those diesel generators have a power takeoff, and the power takeoff is what pressurizes the hydraulic system on the SPMT, and that's what makes it able to steer. It makes it drive, and it can make it squat or go up and down. Those SPMTs can roll under things and then pick them up. But it's all hydraulically driven here, and that's what that whirring noise is. So you're hearing hydraulic fluid moving over a fluid impeller that's driving the wheels. It's a really nice noise. You guys ain't wrong.
You're not kidding. And Max, I know there are some people talking about how fast this looks. They thought it would crawl, which obviously I think the title of crawl goes to the crawler transporter out there that we're used to. But I mean, the guy's riding on the back of it rather than walking with it. I haven't seen that. So
Yeah,
He's riding on that power pack.
Yeah, it's a lot quicker than what we've become used to with Crawler Transporter 2 and SLS moving, which has a blistering top speed of about 0.75 miles an hour when the vehicle and the ML are loaded on top of it. But yeah, they are walking, or they are moving at a bit faster than a walking pace right now. And they're also moving on a public highway as opposed to a purpose-built crawler way filled with rocks to support the weight of the actual treads or the actual tracks on the actual crawlers themselves. So it's a lot simpler of a design. It's a lot smaller. It's a lot more efficient, but also super heavy, weighs a heck of a lot less than SLS and the mobile launcher do combined with one another. That's actually why Crawler Transporter 2 or CT2 had to be revamped and modified to support the extra weight of how heavy SLS actually is, mostly in part due to the five segments solid rocket boosters on either side of the core stage. But yeah, Starship, whether it be ship or booster, when they're on the SPMTs and their transport stands, they actually move pretty quickly. Like, you think it's going to take you like if you're at the launch site and it's just leaving the production site, you think, oh, it'll be hours before it gets here, right? No, it's not. It's about maybe 50 minutes to an hour, depending on if they have issues or stop or slow down or anything. But normally, when it comes by you and they're going at their normal operating speed, it's a bit faster than a walking pace. Like, it comes by you a lot faster than you would actually think.
yeah, I mean, we're talking, what, 3 to 4 miles an hour versus, like you said, the crawler, where we're talking without the vehicle on top of it, 1 mile to 1.5 miles an hour.
Yeah, something like that, and which is incredibly noticeable, actually, believe it or not. The difference between the two, and it's all the more so here, especially with super heavy or any vehicle transports to and from Massey's and or the launch site. So, I think this view's from Gauge.
Yes, it is from Gauge out in the field there. And again, you'll get a great comparison either Thursday or Friday whenever NASA makes up their mind of which date they're going to use to roll Artemis back out to the pads. So
yeah,
we'll of course be live streaming that too. Max, you and I will be there, and we'll be able to get that real comparison, the speed comparison of the booster rolling on the SPMTs to the entire launch pad and rocket rolling on the crawler transporter.
And I think the best example of this is like right here. Like, we just saw it leave the pad at like right at midnight local time there in Starbase. It's only 12:41, and they're basically at Star Factory right now, or almost. Like, they're almost at Star Factory already. Like, that's how quick it actually is.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Let me thank the people here as it heads back towards the production site, and then we'll get to more questions. RC Horseman gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much for doing that. And again, a reminder for all of the members that there are now, the post is out for information about the special pins that were announced the other day. Again, we have the pins, all the Starship flights so far from flight 1 to 11, along with some couple extra pins. It also comes on a board that they're pinned to, and you can rearrange them and add more as you like. But the link is only going out to members first. So there is a member post of when it will happen and what to keep an eye out for. So all the members will get access to that first. And this is the first run of these, and it's going to be awesome. Hophaze coming in with 2 questions here, saying, 1, are they going to catch Booster 19? And 2, if so, how many Raptor 3 engines do you think they would try and reuse for the next flight? And cheers from Indianapolis. EJ, what do you think?
I don't believe they're going to catch this thing. I think they're going to expend it on the first try. I'm pretty sure that that's what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure Ship 39 is going to get, obviously Ship 39 is going to get expended too. But yeah, the second part of that question, I can't, I don't know, Hop. In the future, though, I'm pretty sure these Raptor 3s are tooled up to be very reusable, like land it, put it back on the pad, and then just fly it again, reusable. That really is the push that SpaceX is trying to make. They're trying to be rapidly reusable, and we know that Raptor 3 and the Block 3 Starship is really kind of a baseline for that rapid reusability. It's not like Block 2 and Raptor 2 where they were kind of trying to figure stuff out. This is more of a standardized configuration. Think of it like Falcon 9 1.1, the first extended Falcon 9 that eventually led to, the rapid reuse of Falcon 9 boosters, culminating with the Falcon 9 version 1.2 full thrust block 5, which is the kind of the baseline for yes, that's the name, right? Which is kind of the baseline for fully reusable Falcon 9s. And some of those block 5 boosters have, I think 1067 is well over 30 missions at this point, which is pretty nuts.
I think best case scenario right now for the next 3 flights is so expend both booster and ship on this flight and get as much data as you possibly can. Flight 13, assuming all goes well with booster, try and catch booster on flight 13, and then also get ship as accurate as you possibly can. For flight 14, assuming flight 12 and flight 13 have gone according to plan with ship, in that they are satisfied with the accuracy performed by the ship during reentry and splashdown, that is when Elon has said that is the earliest that they would even think about attempting a ship recovery at Pad 2. So I think Flight 12, expend both booster and ship. Flight 13, booster recovery, expend ship. Flight 14, maybe catch booster and ship. But that's best case scenario, though, assuming all goes well. But of course, time will tell what happens. But I would like to be optimistic in that, because I know that they wanted to catch ship at some point last year, but we all know how version 2's life started, and we don't need to relive that. So yeah, ideally Flight 14 for ship and Flight 13 for booster.
Fingers crossed. I mean, hopefully we see the reuse sooner. And again, Elon's basically said, hey, once we get, a couple flights under our belt, then we'll go for the ship reuse. So hopefully booster reuse comes before that. Ninja Guy Dan becoming a Red Team member. Just hanging out with Dan a moment ago before the stream. Studio, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. Fantasy Art saying, I'm so thankful for this channel. You guys are all awesome. Well, thank you for the support. We appreciate it and appreciate the kind words and the likes and subscribes and all that YouTube stuff. We appreciate all of that. So thank you. Turtle Sanctuary asking, sorry if this has been asked before, but could you launch from Texas and catch Starship on the pad in Florida? I'm going to throw this one to you, EJ, because then the next question will go to you, Max.
Yeah, Turtle, yeah, we were talking about that in chat a second ago. You could, sure. That's probably not something that's going to happen in the near future, but I don't know, let's say like 4 or 5 years down the road. Yeah. Ideally, if Starship can achieve the objectives that SpaceX is trying to do, that rapid reuse. Yeah. For now, to get Starships to Florida, they're going to move them on a barge, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Yep.
But in the future, you could do taxi flights, like suborbital taxi flights with Starships back and forth, that's kind of mind-boggling to think about. A taxi flight, like it's a 747 being delivered. Like, that's just all right. With spaceships, I'm here for it. I think that's pretty neat.
Just as you do, casually.
Yeah, right. No big deal.
A quick taxi flight today, no big deal.
Yep.
Yeah. I will say though, the idea of barging them over is going to be so cool when they offload them. You might say it's a return on investment that's worth investing in.
It's too early.
Nothing really.
It's too early, man. Nope. It's 1:47 in the morning local time. It's 12:47 at Starbase. What are you doing?
What do you think I'm doing? Trying to keep everyone on their toes. Anyway,
you're the worst.
I've been called worse. Anyway, you can see the booster there rolling back towards the production site, going right by the all-important parking garage. Which again, it's hard to think that just like 2 years ago that didn't exist. A year ago it was still under construction-ish, if I'm remembering rightly. So yeah, that goes fast.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah,
that's moving by the offices. Sorry, the parking garage is on the other side of the Gigabay.
Yeah. Oh, the office. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all the offices right there up front, and then that triangular part of the building of Star Factory is the assembly lines. And note that the assembly lines lead right to where the Gigabay is. The Gigabay, they're doing good construction on that thing. Where this booster is ultimately heading is the big gray building that's behind the offices in this picture. That's the Mega Bay. It's going to the Mega Bay, and that's kind of the home for these boosters right now.
And also,
sure.
the launch control has since been moved into the office building there as well. Like, I think it's on the top floor, looking directly at the launch site. So, no longer having to go down the road to where the launch control center used to be. Now they have a direct front row seat right in front of both launch pads. So, which is really cool.
Yeah, sorry. I've apparently expended all of my brain cells on the terrible reference there to ignore what building I'm looking at.
So I told you, man. I told you, it's
So
too early. Don't do that.
So irresponsible.
What is this responsible thing you speak of? You think I'm an adult or something?
I mean, you
Anyway.
better be.
Yeah, that's scary. Here's one Mac Bain explains, slightly off topic, but still interesting. Max, they're wondering what's the status of Terran R and Nova right now, as our person who's currently on the Space Coast. Any updates over there?
I mean, both oh my gosh. I can never say the name without stuttering first.
For Nova?
Relativity, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
They're the ones building Terran R. The pad is still under construction over at LC-14, which is where they launched Terran 1 and is now currently under modification to accommodate Terran R. The company has been posting monthly updates across all social media platforms about what hardware they've built, engine testing, where they're at with customers lining up for future flights. I think in the last update for Terran R, they were showing some barrel structures for both the first and second stages, which is really cool, on top of the ever prominent test footage that they have from the Aeon R engines testing over at Stennis in Mississippi. So still not really that close to flight. They're probably at least another year out, ideally. Could be longer than that, but Terran 1 also, mind you, flew almost 3 years ago, which is kind of scary to think about. It's one and only flight 3 years ago from LC-16. So that's where they are with, in terms of Nova and those guys up in Washington with Stoke. Nova's coming along pretty rapidly. I think in one of the more recent updates, they were about to sign off, or were signing off, an actual flight test article, second stage engine on Nova, which is of course the multiple chamber pressure or combustion chamber setup they have, functioning as more or less an aerospike for their reusable upper stage. So I know they're still bullish on trying to launch this year, but Nova is coming along rapidly. I know they also were just testing stacking fitment between an actual forward section of a Nova first stage, and then also stacking it with Zenith, I think is the engine on the upper stage. And it looked really, really good. But Nova has been making a ton of progress over the last just 6 months alone. And not to mention, LC-14, more or less from what we can see and what they have published, is borderline ready to accept a vehicle. Like, the pad is done. The pad is freaking done. Like, that's nuts to think about. And the vehicle is coming along really well too. And that's just from what they have been able to show us publicly. They're still, so maybe they'll get a vehicle to the pad at some point in Q3, Q4. I mean, I would love to see that. That would be absolutely epic. But I think with Terran R, they're at least a year and a half off from flight. But they are certainly oh my gosh, they are certainly making progress for sure. And hopefully they will be on the pad and launching sooner than later.
I am stoked to see their progress.
Oh my gosh, here we go again. Sawyer.
So about that office building. Anyway.
Or is it a parking garage?
Yeah, as we look now down the road here, getting that much closer to the production site, it really is amazing how fast that's gone. Under an hour, and we're already onto the road to turn into the production site here.
It's beside Star Factory right now in less than an hour. Like, that's how quick it actually moves. And mind you, there's about 2 miles of distance between Star Factory and the pad itself. So it isn't super easily walkable, super quick. I mean, a couple miles is not that far. But when you're moving at the speeds of walking pace, it'll take you 30 minutes at least, somewhere around there on average. Whereas Super Heavy has done that in about an hour aboard the SPMTs. So it shows you how quick it actually can go for a vehicle of this size.
Everything just with V3 going faster, between a propellant load in 32 minutes.
Yeah.
And now the rollback in that short amount of time. It's amazing.
I'm here for it.
Here's one from Dave Areno who's asking, EJ, I'll start with you on this. Do you think we will see a ship static fire before the booster comes back out with all engines?
I mean, it's important to kind of think that, the booster is tested. They test the booster at the pad and they test the ship at Massey's. So you can do parallel testing here. But I think the ship will probably roll. Like, okay, like if it's just straight gut, like I'm sitting here actually thinking about it. I'm not stalling, I swear. If I was going to go with my straight gut feeling, I'd say the ship's probably going to roll back to Massey's with the engines before we see all 33 engines installed on Super Heavy. But keep in mind, SpaceX can do both of those things at the same time. Ships are in Mega Bay 2. Super Heavy's in Mega Bay 1. Ships get tested at Massey's. Boosters get tested at the pad. Right? This is all parallel processing. You could do both of these things at the same time. But if I was a betting man, keep in mind my track record for predicting this stuff hasn't been the best over the last year. But I would say ship before booster. Chat, what do you think? And Max, what do you think too?
I think I'm on the same boat as you, EJ. I think ship could be maybe around a couple of weeks from rolling out to Massey's, but that's literally just gut telling me like what it wants to see. But also, it's been back in Mega Bay 2 for quite some time now, receiving its 6 Raptor engines, of course 3 being sea level, and 3 others being the vacuum optimized variant with the gigantic engine bells. And of course, they test all 6 engines over at the Flame Trench, over at the Massey's test site down Highway 4. I would like to see that happen before we see booster roll back out, because ship remains, I think, one of the biggest question marks for the launch campaign so far, given how little we have seen it and how long it took to roll out for crowd testing in the first place to get to Massey's. I think Super Heavy is something that I'm really not worried about. Like, I know teams, I mean, granted, I know this is a brand new vehicle. I mean, it's untested, unflown. But like Super Heavy, I don't worry about Super Heavy development. I worry about ship development, and ultimately ship is what gave them a ton of headache last year. So I'm more concerned about ship rolling out soon for static fire testing than I am booster rolling out with all of its engines, but time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree. No, I think it's the other... Oh, wait, this isn't Flame Trench. Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I think they're going to have to go with the ship first at this point. Plus, you're talking having to install 23 more engines versus 6. So
Yeah.
you kind of got that going for you, too, which is nice. So
I mean, Sawyer, another thing about parallel processing, and I wanted to bring this up while the Gigabay's in the shot. If you look, there's 2 distinct openings for the Gigabay. Super Heavy's going and blocking one of those openings right now, and then you can see the other one with the light on the left side of your screen. That's in that basically a Rector set of steel that will eventually be the Gigabay. The Gigabay is going to have 2 transfer aisles. One of them is going to be for ships. The other one's going to be for Super Heavy. There's 2. You could distinctly see 2 Starship-sized kind of passageways in that lattice structure right there, and that'll eventually be for parallel processing, just like we have Mega Bay 1 and 2 right now. But Mega Bay 1 and 2 can only hold a couple. They can only hold a handful, right? There's only a handful of spots inside of those Mega Bays. In the Gigabay, they have, I believe it's 24 spots. 12. You have 4 rows of 6 across 2 transfer aisles. That's way more capacity, which is, pretty crazy when you think about it, because they're already going fast now that we've kind of, they've kind of gotten the ball rolling with Block 3. The Gigabay will be able to crank them out even faster, which is crazy to me. And in parallel, which, all right.
yeah, pretty amazing. That's going to be so cool to see. And then again, same thing at the Cape, which Julie Bergeron on X, by the way, has been doing the Battle of the Bays. So if you haven't followed her on X, you should check it out, and so you can see the progress of how it's going at the Cape Gigabay versus the Starbase Gigabay side by side. Also, epic name. We need Michael Bay to produce. I can see it start to turn in towards the production site there.
There's your parking garage right there, man.
Yeah, now we get the parking garage. Thanks. Man, this is so cool. I saw someone was asking, Max, did it look like there was any damage to the engines when they lifted it off the mount or as it's rolling by? I mean, they seemed, at least from the exterior, pretty darn good still.
Yeah, and like that's what I was saying earlier. It's like because there are so few engines installed on the booster right now, we have a much more opened up view at the aft end, and from what we can see, the engines and the other areas below or around them look fine. Like the booster looks completely fine, but way more often than not, any small issues that would trigger an abort of any kind are well within the internals of the engines or plumbing or what have you, and completely out of view. But from what we could tell, the engines looked completely fine, and same with everything else in the aft area. Which begs the question: like, was it a pad issue? Was it somewhere else in the booster engine ignition sequencing somewhere? We have no idea. It's all just speculation right now. Ooh, Raptors peeking in through the booster transport stand. Look at that.
Speaking of those Raptors,
no.
Focus.
Yeah, right. But I think no. Everything did look fine. So, which begs the question: there is a lack of an update from SpaceX as to whether that was a good test, whether it was an abort, if there was an issue. We are waiting on official word if we even get anything else at all. But no, the booster looks fine.
At Grok, what happened?
At Gork, what happened?
At Gork, is this true?
Gork, I need context, please.
Oh, jeez. Now, as it turns in there, again, we see the mural there with everything on Mars. We obviously have the production going on at the Cape with the Gigabay there, and obviously the work that they're still doing over on the tower at 39A. The segments we've seen roll out to 37. Here's the other question. Ken Ruth is wondering, when does Vandenberg get a pad?
For Starship? I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Slick 6 could be turning into, but that could also be a Falcon Heavy pad, because Falcon Heavy is still around, believe it or not, despite it only flying 11 times in its 8 years. It still serves a purpose, especially when it comes to military payloads for the U.S. government, mostly with the NSSL contracts with the Space Force. So it would make sense to build a Falcon Heavy pad at Slick 6. That would be epic. But who's to say that Slick 6 at some point won't just be converted for Starship? But then you have to justify having another pad in California, away from where all of Starship components are built, and figure out a way to transport them all the way over there efficiently. Because at that point, you would have to barge them, go all the way south, cut through the Panama Canal, and then come up the west coast of the U.S. and up to Long Beach or somewhere around Vandenberg. Closer to Vandy, and have it offloaded there.
There's a dock for that.
There's a what?
There's a heavy dock to do that. Yeah,
I'm sure there is, but like that also that begs the question: is there really any justification for doing that? Almost everything that they want to do with Starship can be achieved either from both pads in Starbase or all the pads that will be here in Florida, whether it be flying to a geostationary transfer orbit, whether they want to launch to the space station or anywhere northeast up to about 55 degrees in attitude, or if they want to fly polar and hug the coast of Florida, they can do that as well. So I don't know. I think they must have a very specific reason and purpose and incentive to do that, because I think launching Starship from California might be the biggest headache of all, considering that there's currently no plans to build any bays there or a star factor there to assemble more Starship vehicles. So maybe at some point Starship will find its way there, but I'm still of the opinion that Slick 6 is going to be for Falcon Heavy.
Which, I mean, right now, there hasn't been many Falcon Heavy launches. There's one, I think the next one's the Viasat mission set to come up, I believe no earlier than April is what it says on NASASpaceflight.
Yep.
So we'll have to see with that. But
and the last one before that was October of 2024, the day after Starship Flight 5. And that was the launch of the Europa Clipper with NASA. So yeah, it doesn't fly often. Falcon Heavy is a rare beast. In its 8 years of service now, Starship has launched an equal number of times. Both vehicles have launched 11 times. So it's also a race now. So we currently have a race of Starship Flight 12, Artemis 1, and New Glenn Flight 3. But we also have an internal battle at SpaceX of who is going to fly for its 11th time first. Is it going to be... No, I'm sorry, 12th time. 12th time. Is it going to be Starship, or is it going to be Falcon Heavy? But Falcon Heavy first launched in 2018 with the Falcon Heavy demo. And that was 8 years ago, and it's flown only 11 times since. So it's just kind of scary to think about, which also begs the question: like, does Falcon Heavy have any long-term viability? Because of course, SpaceX wants Starship to phase out any sort of Falcon, any Falcon missions at some point in the future, maybe 10, 15 years. But the case for a Falcon Heavy launching is becoming less and less, and that's a real shame because it is a glorious beast.
Yeah, so why would you have Falcon Heavy launch out on the West Coast at that point then? I mean, if it does launch, we've had NROL 44, so we know what it's going to look and sound like, but...
Oh my god. Wow! That was a dagger right in the heart if there ever was one.
Yeah, that was not fun, that launch. Yeah, but anyway. We'll have to see. By the way, EJ, it stopped moving.
Yeah.
Why? Tell me why.
Because it was at a red light.
Darn it, Roxanne. You don't have to put on the red light.
My name's EJ.
Is it?
Can you tell that it's 2 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Central? But yeah.
No, there may have been a stop sign. It's important to obey the rules of the road when you're, taking your 300-ton booster for a walk.
I mean, in the old days, they did have to, there was one where it was rolling down, it was a little wide. They did have to move a sign on the road, actually, so that it could get through. I mean, this was early days, but yeah.
Okay, like, truth be told, I am not 100% sure why it stopped.
Yeah.
Like, if you really want to know.
We just know that it stopped.
It is, in fact, not moving.
It is rollant.
Rollant. Oh, boy. By the way, J-Volt was asking, what launched more, Atlas 551 or Falcon Heavy? 551 by a long shot.
Oh, yeah. Not even close. It's not even close. But that being said, Sawyer, I think there's only like 2 or 3 more 551s left.
There's 7 N22s. And then, yeah, I think is it 4?
No, I think it's like 2 or 3.
It must be 3 then.
It might be, which is still a crazy low number for a rocket left to fly.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact number, but
guys, I'll tell you what, it is still strange seeing Atlas V like on its way out. I've been a spaceflight fan for a long enough time that I can I remember when Atlas 5 and like Delta 4 were like the new hotness.
Yep.
I'm like,
yeah,
that is really weird. I don't like that.
People still forget there was the Delta 4 medium and then the Delta 4, what was it, medium plus?
Yep. There's Delta 4 medium, there's Delta 4 5.2 medium plus, Delta 4 5.4 medium plus, and then Delta 4 heavy.
Yeah.
Rolling again.
There it goes. And it's a little crab walk. Yep.
Push the button.
But yeah, it's just, you're right. It's weird. I remember being at the last, Delta 4 heavy, and it's like, I was kind of glad because that rocket just didn't stop delaying all the time. Every time it launched, you knew it wasn't going to launch, but still, I do miss how metal that was, lighting itself on fire before
it was a glorious beast when it worked. I mean, it wasn't, to give it credit, it wasn't necessarily the vehicle that was faulty. It was all the GSC around the vehicle that was very problematic because they flew from there maybe 2 or 3 times a year at most, and it is difficult to upkeep your pad infrastructure at upkeep it when your launch cadence is so low, especially for a rocket as old as Delta 4 was. So yeah, that was a very, very special flight to see go. It was also very weird seeing the last one. It's always weird seeing the last of something fly. Flight 6 had a similar feeling, and so did Flight 11, being the last time that we were ever going to see this version of Booster and this version of ship flying at some point, at all. So last flights of anything are a weird feeling, but so are the first ones. So I think seeing version 3 launch for the first time will also carry a similar feeling.
Right, STS-135. That one hurt.
I wasn't there, so I can't speak to it.
Energy, why are you gonna go and bring that up?
Because I was there and I remember it, and I can still feel the pain after it went going through the clouds. It went right into the clouds. You couldn't really see it after like the first 20 or 30 seconds, but you still heard it, and then it clicks in your head afterwards of, that's never going to happen again.
15 years ago, Sawyer, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me in July. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
July 8th. Yep.
Well, at least they had Delta 3 in there. That worked great.
I mean, it did towards the end before they canned it.
Well, yeah.
No, it didn't. They launched it 3 times. It failed twice.
Yeah, but the third launch went great. Like it worked fully. And Flight 2 only had a mishap because Centaur decided to have a super rare issue, because Centaur hardly ever has an issue. It could have worked. It should have worked, but powers that be decided that it should die. And it did.
Yes, a very painful death. Hophaze, by the way, was saying train transport to Vandy like the Soyuz, or like the SRB segments. There is a train. I mean, that's from Colorado to Florida, but...
What? How are you going to move?
Super Heavy is way too wide to fit on trains and go through tunnels the way it would have to, probably, to get there, especially in California. Yeah, it's way too big to be transported like that, unfortunately. That's why Falcon 9's dimensions actually are the way they are, so that it can be transported on public roads, which I think carries a similar dimension to those being transported by rails, which is how the size and diameter of the SRBs on shuttle and now SLS were also dictated because of the size of the tunnels on railways. So yeah, Starship is way too big for that.
It's crazy when you have to choose your dimensions based off of trains.
I swear to God, Sawyer. Oh my God.
Hey, well, Turtle Sanctuary said, sorry, fell asleep for a minute to a Sawyer pun. Don't know which one it was because I fell asleep. So,
Burn.
I'm helping the community fall asleep here. That's totally what it is. Anyway, but Dasa was wondering, or Dasa Addict was wondering, is it set in stone that Starliner will use the final reserved Atlas rockets, or is there a possibility it ends up not using them somehow?
I do believe that every Atlas is sold. Every configuration is already done. I mean, unless NASA wants to restructure Starliner's contracts, which I don't think that's very likely, given the fact that Congress and NASA want to extend the life of the ISS to 2032. I don't think that's very likely. Could you? I mean, yeah, I guess, but guys, the Atlas 5 is done. The production line is done. All the Atlas 5s that are contracted for remaining launches with ULA are all sold. They're all made. There's no more. The ULA got rid of that production line, and they retooled everything for Vulcan.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, they did modify the contract with Boeing, and they downsized the amount of operational flights from 6 down to 4, with 2 more in reserve should the need be there. But then in lies the case of, can they restart solid rocket motor production to fit the Atlas 5? Because the Atlas 5 and Vulcan kind of use the same SRB, but not, because the one on Vulcan is a bit longer with a different nose cone and produces more thrust and has nozzles blow out. But anyway, and also the Centaur on Atlas 5 is way different. That's Centaur 3. That's not Centaur 5 like is currently being used on Vulcan, which of course is much wider than what we see now on Atlas. So yeah, they only have the N22s left and the components for that. I don't really think you can modify or restart production on a line that has long been since shut down. I think the last Atlas 5 core was built a couple of years ago, I think. Maybe a bit sooner than that. But they've been done for a while. And it's a lot more, in a lot of ways, it's a lot more difficult to restart production on a vehicle or something in general, especially in a spaceflight, than it is to design and build an entirely new rocket, or at least takes up the same amount of cost in time. So, the rest of Atlas's life is going to be interesting. Whether or not they use the rest of the flights for Starliner, at least the last 4 that they have contracted, and if they choose to not use those last 2 in reserve, and what they might do with those cores, and like try to MacGyver something together and fly it that way. Although that wouldn't be very ULA, or if those boosters would be sent off to museums or something. I don't know. Yeah, Atlas has a very interesting road ahead of it, but still a very sad one, as we see Booster 19 now just disappearing behind Mega Bay 1.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I forgot about the Centaur difference, and the SRBs that actually work. That was a very astute observation. EJ got it.
I got it.
Did you get it, Max?
No.
Astute observation.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, now it makes sense.
Ah.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, continue
So-
to watch Starship here.
So, Chad, you know what we've discovered? We've discovered when Sawyer is tired, his pun processor goes into overdrive.
And then fails.
Otherwise, I'm scared what else would be said by me. So it's I know it's a safe bet. So, yeah. And this is with caffeine on board. I did just finish having some Pepsi. So, yeah.
Fresh Beppis. Nice.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't fresh. It was left over from some of what I had yesterday. But still.
Oh, leftover Beppis. That's gross.
That's gross.
That was good still. It's still bubbly. Also, I don't like super bubbly sodas. I didn't say it was totally bubbly. I said it was still somewhat bubbly.
Still, how?
I have a really good new fridge.
That should be flat AF.
I have a really good new fridge, Max.
That's also true. You do have a brand new fridge.
For those who don't know, that was why I wasn't on the Flame Trench 2 weeks ago. I was supposed to be, and then my fridge and freezer totally just went out. So, yeah. Yes, J-Volt, the 12:01 alarm goes off when I'm tired, followed by 12:02. But for some reason, we still proceed anyway. Here's one from earlier from Ninja Guy Dan. This is an EJ question if I've ever seen one. They're saying, does Super Heavy have a common bulkhead separating the LOX from the CH-4, or does each tank have a separate bulkhead?
It's common dome. Yeah, it's common dome design. But like, Dan, it's... If anything, I would call Super Heavy's LOX tank a toroidal tank. It's toroidal. I know that that's not necessarily the right way to say it, but the reason why I say it is because Super Heavy is 9 meters in diameter, right? Inside of Super Heavy, inside of the LOX tank, there is a transfer tube that where the liquid methane goes up into the tank. That transfer tube inside of there is about the size of a Falcon 9 first stage. I mean, it's about 3.7 meters wide. It's no slouch. And that transfer tube goes up to a common dome, right? But it's not like a common dome how you'd think, like a hemisphere with like a little different, like a little, downcomer that's like the diameter of like a basketball going down. The transfer tube inside of Super Heavy is huge. It's about 12 feet wide. It's an absolute monster. And the LOX tank, because of that, while still using a common dome, is more toroidal in shape, which means it's like a revolved cylinder. With the, like, if you took a donut and you stretched a donut on the wide axis and made like a cylindric donut, that is what the LOX tank looks like. But yes, still using a common dome. It's just not like any other common dome you've seen. Like if you look at a common dome on like Saturn V second stage or Falcon 9, it don't look nothing like that.
Yeah, although again, you have the Falcon 9 size transfer tube inside.
I never even thought about that, EJ. I guess like the transfer tube is wide enough where I guess you could think of it as a toroidal tank.
It really is. Like, what else?
For all intensive purposes, I mean, like that's fair because like they have to fill the entire transfer tube before methane even reaches the main tank itself above the LOX tank. Yeah, it's a gargantuan transfer tube. Actually, we were just speaking about Atlas. The transfer tube is about the same diameter as an Atlas V booster. For comparison, for context there. Like, that's how wide of a transfer tube we're talking about right now. On top of that, obviously being very similar in size to that of a Falcon 9. So, yeah, I guess it's very Troidal themed or inspired, maybe.
By the way, fun fact, it's all intents and purposes, not intensive.
Is it?
Yes.
But intensive purposes, though, Sawyer.
I don't know what's so intensive about those purposes, but with all intents and purposes. Sorry, the grammar geek in me came out.
Hey,
really
don't take these sayings for granted.
Jesus.
You want to hurt me now, don't you?
No. That's going to be my thing, to get back at Sawyer, chat, for punning all the time.
It's just mispronouncing commonly mispronounced sayings.
Yep.
I don't know. Yes, you're being very specific about what you're going to do. Yes, exactly. That was Dan, by the way, that said that, Ninja Guy Dan. Fantasy Art, thank you for becoming a Padrat member, by the way. And then Dylan getting the TPS Sun shirt, saying it's time for a boost. Booster 19, 2026, probably. So, thank you for that. Those Sun shirts are really awesome. And again, that's actual photos of the tiles on it, which I know we don't have the tiles on the booster here, but with ship testing and everything, I mean, it's perfect. It's, heat protection for you with these nice lightweight Sun shirts. Just like you get the heat protection for the stainless steel on Starship. Oh boy. So at this point, it looks like it is just about to sneak behind the camera there and make its way back towards the Mega Bay.
Mega Bay one door opening.
There we go. It's service. It's like the people with the garage door opener. Just open sesame. And there it goes. But yeah, again, that was a surprisingly quick roll in about an hour and 15 minutes. It made it all the way from the pad to here. Well, hopefully the next time we see it roll out, it will have all 33 engines on it. It will head out to the pad, and fingers crossed, it will stay out there until it launches. We don't know that for sure. They may do a whole nother test campaign, roll it back, etc. But we can hope. But until then, all of the hopium is that we see more happening here at Starbase. And don't forget, you can do that all the time with our Starbase Live 24/7 cameras. And that's where you'll be able to watch as it goes into the Mega Bay tonight as we wrap things up here on the dedicated coverage. EJ, somehow we survived. Thank you for staying awake with me for this one.
Well, thank you for having me. It's fun being out here doing these late night streams when we get the chance to. And it's cool to see the booster roll by. Guys, I would just say, where Gage's shot was on Highway 4, you can go there. You can stand there and you can watch these things go by. I've done it, and I would suggest anybody that's near there to do that. You won't get these camera shots are great, and we love our Starbase Live operators and Gage and Caesar and everybody down there that does their work. But go stand next to one of these things. Trust me.
You should do it again.
It will blow your mind how big this thing is. The pictures do not do it justice. But with that being said, we do appreciate you guys hanging here with us. It is late. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Max, thank you for sticking around and joining us as well as we see some Sparky action on the left side of the screen there.
Yeah, pleasure and fun as always, everyone. Thank you very much for coming to hang out with us during this ungodly hour, at least here on the East Coast of the U.S. To see some more Starship action, but hoping to see Booster 19 back out again somewhat soon. And but one thing's for certain, we will be seeing all of you in the audience at some point very soon in the near future with some very exciting events coming up with Artemis 2.
Oh, dude, stick welding. Look at that. Yeah, stick welding.
EJ's brain's being tickled right now in real time.
Yeah, guy's got a stick welder. He's laying some bead. Put those two beams together.
The excitement. I love it.
I mean, you need a lot of voltage to get a good weld going with that thick of steel, which is pretty cool, man. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I love welding. Welding's awesome. Chad, you like welding? Welding is sweet.
Welding is pretty cool.
I mean, it looks like it's pretty well done on there. So
Oh my god.
No, you didn't.
of
Oh
course
my
I did.
God.
Carson has been the one pushing the buttons and pulling the levers today. Thank you, Carson, for producing the stream. Don't forget to check us out on all the NSF socials because the team, of course, being out there tonight, grabbing some of the awesome videos and imagery and stuff. You'll see a lot of it over on all of the social channels. I am Sawyer Rosenstein. I have been your pun master extraordinaire / host for the Booster 19 rollback stream. Again, we've got the Starbase kind of summary of everything that's been going on video-wise coming out. And then, of course, stay right here. We already have the stream up, so you can go hit notify me for the next vehicle to roll, which will be Artemis 2 on the mobile launcher heading out to 39B. So go ahead and get ready for that. When that happens, we don't know if it's Thursday or Friday. So if you hit notify me, you'll know when we do. Anyway, thank you so much all for watching, and we will see you all on the next one.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Roger, roll, Atlantis. Doubling up.
Did it just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, it sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalizer.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers fly!
Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my god.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.